How you living? How you living?
How you living? What? How you living? What? How you living?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. This is M and I am J, and together we are MJ. So, as usual, me and M were having a conversation, and then out of nowhere, me and someone else were having the same conversation about what him and I discussed. And so, it was like, okay, let's record, let's get feedback or other people's perspective on this topic as well. So, today is Psalm Sunday. And as we're gearing up for next week for some called Easter, Resurrection Sunday, or Passover, which is my favorite holiday of the year. And it's not for no eggs or for the candy, although, growing up, that was the best time of the year for my family or just to come together. And not the birth, but the resurrection of Jesus Christ is what makes it so special to me, or why I enjoy the holiday with itself. Just remembering what Christ died for my sins and how he came back to life and how one day he will be returning for his saints and everything. So, yeah. So, as now, this was a really big holiday for me, and it still is. However, learning the true meaning and everything behind it since being with him, it kind of brought some, not, it just brought a different meaning or understanding of it. And it's not just this holiday, it's every holiday that we celebrate, which we call them pagan holidays, correct? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna let him go more into detail about the definition of pagan, or explain and more elaborate on what pagan holidays are, or what it means.
Word pagan basically comes from the word paganism, which is a worship of signs and symbols and other things. Basically, a form of witchcraft that came from. A lot of people like to say it started with the Egyptians, but it actually was around before that. Who was before the days of Noah? Well, around the days of Noah. It was a lot of wickedness practiced before the days of Noah, and some angels coming on to some women and performing some things and causing them to have babies. And like I said, there was a lot of wickedness being performed, and that's when God decided to destroy that and to start all over with Noah and his family. And while doing that, which I'm going to talk about soon on Graceland. Make sure you check me out on Graceland. While doing that, Noah got into a situation with his one of his youngest son, and ended up cursing one of his youngest son, and his son named Ham. And Ham brought to go against Noah, or to rebel against Noah and Noah's ways. He brought in the ways of the former ways, the ways before the flood, and he taught that to his own children. And without knowing or not really understanding, Noah placed the same curse on Ham and his descendants. So Ham went on a mission to prove himself better than everybody else, and it caused this religion, paganism, which the world try to connect with Christianity, and it's not the same thing. So we have to be careful on what we worshiping, or what we're doing, or what we fellowship with.
Yes. So it was a video that Marcus referred to me, and we can leave the description to that video as well, where she kind of goes more into detail on paganism as well, and pagan holidays, and how like he said, Christianity tried to make it one. Like, oh, it's no harm in celebrating Easter because like I said, we're remembering the resurrection of Jesus Christ. However, Easter has other things pinned up with it, like the egg and the bunny symbolizes solely something totally different, fertility, correct? So it has nothing to do with Christ. It's more so of women's fertilization and things of that nature or whatever. So and I this is something that was new to me. Like I said, growing up, Easter was a big celebration. You know, you go to church, you learn about Christ's resurrection. Then afterwards, you spend time with your family, and it's just like a good time or whatever. That's some of the things that I do want to install when I do have children or whatever. That's a tradition I would like to keep and pass on. However, I don't want them to learn about the other, like the eggs part or anything like that. But then
I won't say I don't want them to learn it. I do want them to learn, meaning I want them to know of it so they can be aware of it.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to practice those type of traditions. We don't want them to practice those type of traditions. We want our children, when we have children, to follow God and follow God wholeheartedly. So we want to teach the ways of God and teach things in decency and order, like the Bible instructs. Sorry for those who don't believe in the Bible, but this is a serious thing that needs to be discussed, because we have a lot of people trying to mingle things together, and it's just not the way. It's not the way it should be.
So, and
it's just not Easter. I'm sorry.
It's not Easter. It's other holidays as well. We're just talking about that because that's approaching. I know another one is that church and the try to put in is Halloween. Growing up, you thought Halloween was supposed to be celebrated the death or it was evil and everything like that. And so churches they have now did other things to like flip it to be something different because they do want their kids to participate in this holiday. Like, you see your friends going out getting candy and things of that nature, and you like, dang, why I gotta sit at home or whatever. So churches have tried to do something where they can make it fun and put a different spin on it so that kids who are raised in a Christian home or whatever can still participate and have fun on that day. So they might do like the trunk or treat where they have the parking lot and they decorate just their trunks and hand out candies to the kids within the parking lot. They go from trunk to trunk. Or they may do like a sleepover or something of that nature at the church or whatever. And honestly, I didn't find anything wrong with it until like him and I started dating, and he giving me more knowledge and understanding on what it was, and even studying like my Bible. You can't be lukewarm. Like, you definitely got to choose which side you're going to be on. And so I sometimes you just got to tell them like, hey, look, this is why we don't do things or participate in certain things. It's not that we're trying to be like just evil parents or things of that nature.
It's not evil parents. That's not.
But to us, from a kid's point, you are being evil. Like, why can't I do it?
It's not being evil. I won't say evil. I think evil is the wrong word, but being disciplined and being in order. But like I said, it's not just like I said, Easter or Halloween or whatever. Christmas is a big one. They play together, and the reason why it's like combined together, and the church is so involved because of a man named Constantine. Constantine the Great was also credited of bringing paganism and Christianity together as one. But as followers of Christ, we must study to show ourselves approved and make sure we following Christ and not these things that are of the world. So, like I said, she brought up the egg and the bunny. It's a one of them. Then you read your Bible. I can't remember the scripture right now, but I think it's in Thessalonian with the Christmas when bringing trees in your house and decorate it. Paul tells us not to do those things as the hypocrites. But as we see, we have people who does that and they think it celebrate Christ, and they put this angel on top of the tree, and a lot of people houses got burned down because you're doing things that's not uh, uh, reverencing God. It's reverencing some other dignity. So, like I said, we got to be careful what we're following and what we indulge ourselves in. Uh, what else? It's like I said, a lot of this stuff is stem. Like, a lot of this stuff is in the Bible, and if we study to show ourselves approved, uh, we will avoid a lot of these things that we are inviting not only into our household but into our families. That causes curses and confusion and spiritual wickedness and everything. A lot of these things that's being performed in our houses is causing chaos within our families, and we're not aware of it because it's spiritually. Just because you don't see it physically doesn't mean it's not happening in other realms. So you just got to be careful and protect your households as men, as women, and protect your children as well, and instruct them on why we don't do this and why we do this, why we don't do this and why we do this, and walk in decency and in order.
And even family members, because I think too, like your parents or your cousins, whoever, they may look at you and be like, well, you was raised on this and we taught you XYZ and this and that. You still know it's Christ and everything. But yeah, I didn't know the other component of it as well. So doing those traditions, or I don't know if we want to call them rituals, or things of that nature, that we have come accustomed to. But now, when we do have kids and we might not want them to participate in those things, it's not that we're saying, oh, our kids are better than that or whatever, or this and that. We do want them to, we want it, as you learn, you do better. So that's the whole thing. Now, I do know reading in Genesis, I believe. No, it wasn't Genesis. It was like in the Old Testament, where Moses was they were about to enter that promised land, or they had entered, something of that nature. And it was, please help me remember because I don't remember it all. But they were like, God was instructing them on like, hey, at a certain point of time each year, you need to basically do like this cleansing where you're the Jubilee. So I think so, and I did. While reading that, I thought that was basically the same as Easter, because leading up to Easter, you go through the Lent process where you give up, certain foods or TV or whatever that is, and then on Good Friday is when you participate back into those that have this like celebration, and then on Sunday is when you have, your reverence to Christ and celebrating what He has done for you.
Even with that though, even with like your days of the weeks and the months, understand them also are named after like pagan things. So, and understand that their time and their years and their days are totally different than our time and our years and our days. Because they went by the sunlight, meaning 12 hours and 12 nights or whatever, and we go by 24. So understand that structure is different. That structure is different as well. But I get what she's saying. But again, that was in the remembrance of the Passover, and like I said, it had nothing to do with no Easter and no eggs. And like I said, don't get us wrong. Don't understand. We still fellowship with our families. We still celebrate God on these days. We still worship God, but we do these things in order, making sure we're following Christ and not other things. So don't think we are isolating ourselves and, like she said, making ourselves better than anybody. But we want to walk in order. We want to walk in order. But like what she referring to is the Jubilee. And for some people, like I said, it's different. For some people, they do fast or try to give all their energy to God, and that's cool. That's how you worship. That's what God put on you to do. Go right ahead. For me, I do this. I worship. I give Him praise. I give Him glory. But I'm not worshiping I'm thankful for the Passover, but my Passover is not their Passover. My Passover is Jesus Christ coming down through 42 generations and hanging His life up for me. So that's why I worship.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because sometimes it's like, what, do we keep that tradition up? Do we keep the Jubilee up? Because at that time, Jesus Christ wasn't entered, like they didn't know that
Yeah,
story.
but that I'm saying at that time, they had to sacrifice lambs and animals. We don't have to do that. We
Yes.
have an intercessor within Jesus Christ.
Correct.
So that lamb was already sacrificed through Jesus Christ.
Yes. So yeah. And let's go back to fasting, because I think too, and we're just gonna talk about traditions all together. I know for me, it's in the beginning of the year, it was tradition for our church to go on a corporate fast. So I know in the Bible it does speak on like how to fast, the way of fasting and things of that nature. However, I do think that a lot of people don't speak on that or don't incorporate that um, I guess, church as much as it was back then. And you could correct me if I'm wrong, but that was something that, like, a corporate day of fasting may be on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, where we all just go on a fast if you were a part of the church, or something of that nature. Or we all just do it like at the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, like it was just, you do the Daniel fast, you do a day where you're just drinking water and praying and seeking God, for direction and things of that nature. So just learning those things and wanting to do it correctly. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, but I never seen anything about a corporate fast in the Bible.
Okay.
So I don't know. I can't speak on the corporate fast thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know when you fast, that's supposed to be just a thing between you and God.
So you being a pastor, if you're led to go on a fast or to have your congregation do that, is that a thing, or is it just like, nah? That's
when we went to church, when I was going to my church, yeah, we did that as a team together.
So that's the corporate fast.
I understand that. Like I said, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying in the Bible, I don't see that anywhere existing. Meaning, I don't know. Like I don't know. That's a God thing. I can't tell you that. When I fast, even though I did it with multiple people, when I fast, I took it serious.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, I'm fasting and I'm trying to get a closer connection with God. I'm denying my flesh.
Right.
So, and I'm not going around posting it and telling everybody. I'm taking it serious. I don't need you to know I'm fasting. I'm not walking around making it obvious like I'm sick or what. I'm fasting. So that's not, I don't need you to, hey, I'm fasting. You want to fast with me? Oh, I'm fasting. This is my relationship with God. So whatever you're doing is what you're doing. But me, like I'm fasting to seek a better relationship with God. So when it comes to me with corporate fasting, I never seen that in the Bible. Like I would say, if I'm not going to tell you something that I don't know. So I never seen it in the Bible. If somebody can point it out. But for me, I haven't seen that. When people was fasting in the Bible, they were seeking something from God and wanted to cleanse from God, and they took it serious. I ain't hear nobody saying they wouldn't go, like Daniel went on his fast. I don't hear him telling, the 3 Hebrew boys, won't you fast with me? Correct. It don't say that in the Bible. So with that, from what I know of. Correct. So
I started reading the book of Daniel and learning about the fast too. And please correct me on this too, because I think I talked to you about this. Daniel did go on a fast. However, he was also, during that time, they were like doing all kind of crazy things, eating things they were not instructed. So Daniel's whole thing was, look, I'm not going to participate in what the world is doing, basically. So me and my boys, we're going to eat according to what God has told us to eat. And then you'll see how we're able to still interpret these dreams and still do the will of God and be better than what the people who you put in place were. Not as a competition more so, but just to show like God's way is the best way. Is that what?
I mean, to get into that, God said we're supposed to be separated, holy, a holy nation. We're supposed to be set apart, different. That's also goes to like the whole paganism and the holiday things. Like, we're not supposed to as follower of Christ, we're not supposed to be doing the things of the world or looking like the world or doing the like. You gotta, and nowadays you gotta like, and it's been that battle since the beginning of time, trying to put the world and Christianity or God together. And God says, look, if you for the world, you against Him, and if you with God, you against the world. So it's not no coming together of those two things. But like I said, we're not trying to say we're higher than anybody or anything like that, but we want to make sure we follow God in decency and in order.
Correct, because it's still some struggles on my end. I could testify of things like I do like I love Easter, but I do want to,
Like I said, we ain't not saying you can't spend time with your family. Please do that.
Yes, and I like my Easter basket too.
Please spend time with your family and everything. But when it comes to, for me and my house, when it comes to Easter eggs and all that, I mean, if my children want candy, I can go to the store anytime and get them candy.
Correct.
So that's not a big deal. Even with Valentine's Day, between me and her, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day because I know what Valentine's Day is. It's a celebration of Nimrod and his penis. So I don't. That's where you get the whole Cupid shooting the arrow thing from. So I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. Do I need Valentine's Day to show my girl how much I love her? How to show my girl how much I appreciate her? No, I hang out with my girl all the time. I spend time with her all the time. I take her out to eat or do whatever all the time. So I don't need to do it on that specific day to or do the whole of Valentine thing to celebrate my love for my girl with my girl. That's an everyday thing for me. That's an everyday thing. So
for me too. Don't make it seem like I'm doing stuff.
So like these holidays really don't make sense, and you really do your research on these holidays. The reason they pick these certain dates is because it's celebrating something else that you're not aware of, and that's why you see on these. If you ever pay attention, you see on these holidays. You watch the news. There's like a big sacrifice or death rate that happens. Like on Memorial Day in Chicago, I think like over 24 people died. That one Memorial Day. On Valentine's Day, there was a massacre in somewhere in the foreign lands or whatever. It was a massacre there. So it's a blood. Understand when you're worshiping these other gods, there have to be a blood sacrifice. So if I'm saying, like, be careful what you're getting into, or be careful what you're worshiping. Like, know the Bible for yourself. That's why the Bible says, study to show thyself approved. Like, I'm not trying to preach to you or anything, but I just want you to be aware of what you're indulging yourself in, because you're bringing in other spirits into your relationship and into your home, into your household, and you wondering why this chaos is happening, because you have invited something else in your realm or in your household, in your family. So please be careful with these different holidays. We're not telling you can't spend time with your family or anything like that. We just telling you to be careful with what traditions and rituals you follow and do.
Correct. And then also get the whole story. Like, don't just take our word on things. Like, research. Right now, it's easy to look up things and get more knowledge on what you need to know. So get the whole story. Research, like you said, get in your Bible. Start looking up certain things. It's an Egyptian book of the dead. I think that's what it's called. That's a good book to look at too, as to know like what the Egyptians, I guess, their worship. Yeah, what the Egyptians worship and how that is different from what we worship and things of that for its Christ.
And a lot of people think that like those things are the same. They're not the same, because they would tell you that Jesus is the same person as hero or all these people, and it's not the same thing at all. So be careful what you get, because that's where you get the ham. That's where you get the ham story from, or Osiris, or all these people with all these names. They talking about the same three people. So all these names from, because they bring in the old practices from before the flood. So Ham and his descendants are actually some of the Egyptians and the Canaanites, and that's what them group of people come from. And those practices has been passed down from generations to generation. When Europe in power went into the Egyptian land and they conquered some of that stuff, they start practicing. That's how you get the Zeus and Aphrodite and all that other stuff. So that's how you get Isis and all this other stuff. That's how you get in all these different gods, because it's been passed down and it's been taken and conquered. But you trying to mix it in with Jesus Christ, and you read, like she said, you read both stories, you will see there's some big differences in those stories. They're not the same people. They're not the same entity. They're not the same thing at all. And like I said, when you worship these other beings, when you worship these other things, there's always like a blood sacrifice that has to happen. We don't have to have the blood sacrifice. That blood sacrifice was already given through Jesus Christ. So we don't have to do those things.
Yep. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all we had to, I guess, talk about on today. Like he said, like, please don't allow this to deter you from spending time with your family. Like,
We spend time with our families.
Yes, and he likes fellowship, you know. So during those times, maybe those are conversations you can have with your family to kind of educate them. But I think also we have to be aware that sometimes people ain't willing to change or give up certain things too, and that's okay as well. Like,
just ask yourself why. Why is this? Why is that? Why is this? When you ask why and start finding information stuff on these stuff. Why does a tree have to be in the house? Why is the tree even in the house? Why ask these stuff and use Bible scriptures to help you understand these things. But ask yourself why. What is the meaning of the egg? What is the meaning of the bunny? What is the meaning of, when you look up Easter, what Easter, like, you will find Easter in the Bible, but when you look up the Easter, what Easter really is Esther, and that's one of the gods of the Egyptian or Greeks and stuff. So just like, and she was a god of fertility. So that's how you get the bunny and the egg and everything from. So, but when you research these things, ask why we're doing this, why we're doing that. So understand, like, your days of the week and all these holidays and your days of your month, they all are named after goddesses and gods. So just do your research. Like, again, study to show yourself approved unto Him, and so you can know what's going on and what you're dealing with.
yep. So that's all. Stay tuned.